In today's video, I am going to be giving my first impressions on popular new fragrance releases. So if that's your type of thing, then please keep on watching. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's the first time you're visiting. My name is Hayley and I review fragrances. So as I already mentioned in the intro, today's video is going to be all about new fragrance releases. And these are highly anticipated or very hyped up new fragrances. So I can't wait to give you my first initial impressions on these. And there are some good ones and there are some not so good. So I guess without further ado, let's just jump straight into the first fragrance. But before we get started on the first fragrance, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. It really helps this channel out and I would love to have you as part of this community. So now that is out of the way, I have my list on my phone. And the first fragrance that I want to get into is Parfum de Marly Altair. I think that's how you pronounce that one. And this one has been getting so much love across the fragrance community. Whenever a vanilla fragrance launches, I think it initially always gets such a positive reaction, even if people haven't smelled it yet, because everyone loves vanilla. Now, I know that's a catch-all statement. Of course, everyone doesn't love vanilla, but it definitely is a very popular note. And Altair is, in essence, quite a powdery, light vanilla fragrance. That's how I perceive it anyway. And the orange blossom stands out to me quite a lot in the composition. I'm a bit confused why this is marketed towards men. However, with Parfum de Marly, you either have the more feminine collection or you have the more masculine collection. They don't really have any bottles that kind of sit in the middle. And that is something that I would personally love to see from the house, because in my opinion, I wear a lot of the fragrances from the men's collection, and I'm sure men also wear fragrances from the women's collection. So maybe that's an unpopular thought. Do let me know what you think about that one. But in essence, Altair is a very, very unisex fragrance. It's straight down the middle in my opinion, and it's also very cozy and comforting. It has a praline note in there. It has cinnamon, it has musk, it has vanilla, there's some cardamom too. And like I said, I do pick up on the light florals. Now they do list an orange blossom note and I definitely get that. It's very sweet and enticing. And then I get kind of a powdery iris vibe from this too. It's quite a gentle scent overall. I think it's really, really nice. I probably will add it to my collection at some point. But in terms of the men's collection from Parfum de Marly, my favorite still remains to be either Carlisle or Herod. I think they are a little bit more show-stopping. That is just my thoughts at this point in time. However, when I get a bottle of Altair and get a proper sample, my mind might change on that. I do think it's a solid release and I do feel like it's purchase worthy. Okay, the next fragrance, I haven't actually got my nose on, but I'm so excited about it, so I have to mention it in today's video. And it's the latest release from Guerlain, and it is Fève Gourmande. I have seen this is launched in the US. It says that it's an online exclusive. It hasn't landed here in the UK as of yet. And this is a retake of Gourmande Coquine, which again, I have never smelled, but I've always been so excited to smell it. I've tried to get my hands on a bottle. I know there's a place in Belgium that you can order it, but unfortunately they do not ship to the UK, which makes me very, very sad. If you do want to see a review on the old formulation, of course, there's lots of reviews on YouTube, but Sharita talks about this one quite a lot, so I would maybe go and watch her videos. I am curious to see if the new take on it is the same or it has been slightly reformulated. Now, my opinion is it is probably reformulated. I know a lot of people are saying it is not, but the notes that are listed are slightly different. Now, of course, there's lots of notes in perfume. They don't always list the notes on the fragrances, so it could be that. But my feeling, and it's also something that I've heard, is that it has been reformulated to be slightly more mass appealing. Now, this is not truth. This is just rumors at this stage. I just want to make that clear. I can't wait to get my nose on this one. Now, this is a gourmand fragrance and it features a note of chocolate. I've wanted to get my nose on this for the longest time, and I'm hoping the new version lives up to the expectations of the old version. So I'm going to move on from that one because I haven't smelt it, so I can't really give you my feedback on it. However, if we stick with Guerlain, there are 6 new extrays out, and I was super excited to try out this new collection, and I have finally got my nose on all 6 of them. They are here in Harrods, and they're in the little dinky bottles, and they are very expensive. So in the UK, they retail for £490, which for the size format is a lot of money. So I was expecting them to wow me. And I have to say, on a first impressions, I wasn't mind blown by this new collection. Now, granted, I have not tried these all on the skin, and I feel like that's very important to do. But from a first impressions, just smelling them on the paper in store next to some of the other Guerlain fragrances, they just didn't wow me enough. My favorite was actually the tonka one, which I'm not surprised at all because I love a tonka bean note. And that one was so rich, decadent, and definitely tonka forward. And if you like the way that Guerlain does tonka in their other fragrances, you will probably love this one. Will I purchase it at that price point? Probably not, unless I find a good deal online or maybe someone reselling it eventually, just because it's a lot of money. But the tonka one is beautiful. My second favorite was, of course, the vanilla. You're probably not surprised by that. But again, it didn't wow me, and I didn't prefer it over Spirituis Double Vanille or Angelique Noir. But I'm going to caveat this again with I have not tried them on the skin yet. I think the bergamot one was nice. However, I don't feel like it needed an extrait of it. And the collection was nice overall, but until I try them on my skin, I'm not going to give you too much more feedback because it wouldn't be fair. We need to try fragrances on our skin to get a more rounded impression. But tonka was my favorite, just smelling them off the paper. Next up is Matière Première's Vanilla Powder. I nearly blind bought this one, but I stopped myself from doing it just because I have so many vanilla fragrances within my collection already. But I love it. I really love it. It is such a beautiful fragrance. I did not expect a more fresh take on vanilla, a more beachy take on vanilla. It's got that sandy, kind of salty feeling, although it doesn't feature a salt note, so do not think that it's a salty vanilla, but it does give me more of those beach tropical vibes, and that is because it's got powdered coconut within the notes. I think it's a fantastic new release. I probably will end up adding it to my collection at some point. I would love to know if anyone else has tried it or if any of you own a bottle. Please do let me know what you think about vanilla powder because I'm super curious and I'm really thinking about adding it to my collection. The next fragrance is from Montel and it is Lucky Candy. I have a sample of this one thanks to my friend Ali. She gave me a sample of this one and the next fragrance that I'm going to be talking about. And this one is beautiful. Now, my personal opinion on Montel is a lot of their fragrances are quite synthetic, but don't get me wrong, I do love some of their fragrances. By me saying they smell synthetic, that doesn't mean it's a negative thing. It's just some people don't like that about the brand, so I thought I would highlight it. And out of all of the fragrances, not all of them, but out of a lot of the Montel fragrances, this one doesn't give me any kind of synthetic vibes. It's a beautiful tropical frangipani, musky, sweet vanilla. Oh, floral. It's beautiful. It has coconut, it has whipped cream, there's some caramel, there's some honey. You've got frangipani. Yeah, there's musk, there's vanilla. It's a really, really beautiful fragrance. I might add this one to my collection at some point because it is a really pretty kind of beachy, tropical, gourmand floral, and I really, really like it. I think quite a lot of people will like this one, and I highly recommend that you sample it if you like the sound of a gourmand frangipani fragrance. It's a good new release. And the next fragrance I was really, really excited about too, and it is from Mancera, and this one is called Amor Cafe. And I have a little sample here. Don't have anything to spray it on. Bad planning, Hayley. And this one, in the air. Gourmand Dreams. This one is so incredible. It is a vanilla bean ice cream with some amaretto and some coffee. That is what I am getting from it. Very, very likable. I think this one is also going to be a big hit. It's decadent, it's creamy. Like I said, I'm getting vanilla bean ice cream, but then you have that coffee note in here too, and a slight bit of liquor from the amaretto. A beautiful fragrance release. So I need to sample this one a little bit more still, but it's highly likely that I will get a bottle of this, which will be my only Mancera in my collection because I did declutter some of my other Manceras, but this one I feel like it's really, really likable, and for a gourmand lover like me that also likes vanilla, I kind of need it in my collection. Slash, I don't need it, but I need it in my collection. So the next fragrance is a new release from Xerjoff, and this one is Herba Gold. And if you watch my channel, you might already know that I'm not a fan of Herba Pura. I feel like that fragrance is very much a love or a hate in the community. Some people get that juicy, fruity cocktail vibe from it, and some people get this kind of screechiness from the composition. And unfortunately, I'm in the kind of screechy camp, and Herba Gold is similar in that aspect for me. I get a very loud, punchy screechiness, which is very sad because the notes were so promising. So it has notes of ginger, lemon, orange, bergamot, pear, melon, cloves, cardamom, cinnamon, green apple, amber, white musk, and vanilla. Now, this one I thought was going to be a little bit more promising for me, but on a first take, I didn't take to it very well, put it that way. And I'm trying to be nice about this because I know there are going to be people out there that really, really love this fragrance and also love Herba Pura. But you've got to bear in mind that we all perceive fragrances completely differently. And just because this is how my nose perceives it doesn't mean that that's going to be how your nose is perceiving it. So please do take this with a pinch of salt. But for me, there is some kind of underlying screechiness that I can't get past. I am going to continue sampling this one to see if my views change on it, because that can happen. But as a first point of call, this one is a pass for me. I don't rate it. I will not be buying it. So that was Herba Gold. The next fragrance is incredibly hyped at the moment, and it is from Dolce & Gabbana, and this one is called Devotion. And I've had a lot of comments about this one as being your latest fragrance purchase or your new favorite, and people asking me if I was going to be reviewing this one. Now, I don't have a bottle of it at the moment. That's not to say that I won't add it to my collection, but what I will say is when I sampled it, it didn't wow me, and my thoughts might change. I actually thought it was really, really nice, but I do feel like I have fragrances in my collection that were quite similar. So the perfumer of Devotion is Olivier Cresp, and he is also the perfumer of Bake because he owns the fragrance house, which is called Acro. And they are kind of similar, but a little bit different. So Bake opens a lot more sharp and lemony, whereas Devotion is smoother and more candied in the opening. But both dry down to be kind of like a vanilla and lemon cupcake. So they're similar in that aspect. I also have Lemon Tart by Theodoros Kalatinis, which I feel like is a little bit similar. So at this stage, I felt like I didn't need it, but I will say in terms of a designer release, Devotion is definitely a strong release. It is in essence candied lemon and vanilla cakey vibes. Really, really delicious. I probably will add a bottle to my collection at some point. I don't know, but I do want to hear your thoughts about Devotion. I know many of you probably own this. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Next up, we have the newest release from Seven Virtues, and this one is called Cherry Ambition. This only landed with me yesterday, so I haven't had a big chance to play around with it yet. I've worn it once on my skin, by the way, and I've gathered my thoughts a little bit around it. And if you watch my channel, you will know that cherry isn't always my favorite note. It has to be done in a very specific way. But what I love about Cherry Ambition is it has that sour cherry that I really, really like. It's a similar cherry that's in Cherry Punk by Room 1015. And it is also quite a similar cherry to that is in Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. Now, I think a lot of people are going to say this is similar to Kjale's Lovefest Burning Cherry. I feel like this one is a little bit deeper. It's not as smoky, but this one is definitely woody. The cherry is more prominent in the opening and quite sour. You've also got some saffron. There's lots of frankincense, vanilla, and gaiac wood in the base. So to me, this is more of a woody cherry fragrance that's very sour. It's sweet and it does have an almost amaretto vibe to it too. I do need to play around with this one a little bit longer before I can give an actual review, but I do think this is a good release and I am a fan of Seven Virtues in general. So if you have tried Cherry Ambition, let me know what you think about it. So the last fragrance that I'm going to talk about today is from Juliet Has a Gun, and this one is Ode to Dullness. And I actually went to a launch event for this fragrance and I was very, very excited because it's got a very unusual name. And I've definitely heard a lot of comments about the name of this fragrance, but I do feel like Juliet Has a Gun is known for breaking boundaries when it comes to the name of their fragrances. If you think about their fragrance, Not a Perfume, that is a bit of a strange name, right? But actually it's very, very catchy and I love their take on it. You could see being dull as a negative, but in certain countries, it can be slowing down, it can be living in the moment and appreciating the beautiful things around you. And this is very much in that musky, clean aesthetic. This smells like you are wearing a loved one's cozy cashmere sweater. And I think I heard someone saying that it reminded them of hugging a loved one wearing a cozy sweater. And I can completely relate to that. In the opening, there is an anise note, which pulls a little bit like licorice, but it is quite subtle, but it does give a unique twist to this composition. And then I am getting lots of fluffy white musk. Super, super comforting. It could be my favorite fragrance from Juliet Has a Gun now, because if you watch my channel, you will know that I am a big fan of musky fragrances or that clean style of fragrances. But overall, this is a beautiful, soft, sandalwood, cashmere, anise, musky fragrance with a little bit of tonka bean in it, and I really think this is a fantastic new release from Juliet Has a Gun. So those were all of the new fragrances that I wanted to discuss with you in today's video. There are so many new fragrances launching constantly and I could have included a lot more in this video, but I've showcased the ones that I feel like are the most popular at the moment and the ones that maybe you would want to hear about. But please let me know of some other new fragrances that you have sampled recently and what you think about them. And also, are there any fragrances that you want me to review or you want me to sample? Please do let me know down in the comments. Like I said, and like I always say, I always find the best recommendations through the comments section. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope to see you in a future video to come. Thank you so, so much and goodbye.